He picked that one, and I was curious on how he was gonna perform on the beat. So I was like, all right, Bree, let's do it. Man, he sent that back. I was like, oh, this is different. This is cool. A whole lot of people knew I could do the R&B or the classical type thing. You know what I'm saying? But a whole lot of people didn't. So when I put that album out, people were like, oh my gosh. Every song that I create with artists, I feel like it's going to be the biggest song that I ever created.
I think that's the mindset to have.
Yeah, that's what you know, man. Being a music producer, man, you got to just have that mindset like, man, this is it. For the first 3 years, I was making 800 to 1,000 beats like every year.
Just constantly working like all day, every day.
Yeah, basically, bro, like I would find myself in the studio from in the morning all the way to the next morning, 12 a.m., 1 a.m.
Hey, if you're like me and you're interested in the YouTube or creator space, you should check out The Published Press. The Published Press is a completely free newsletter founded by YouTubers Colin and Samir. They host their own podcast talking to some of YouTube's largest creators. They've edited some of the best content I've seen on YouTube, and now they're sharing their knowledge about the YouTube space with you for free. The Published Press comes out 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with everything going on with your favorite creators and platforms. And like I said, it's completely free. Just enter your email address to receive the Published Press whenever it comes out, and that's it. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, sign up to the Published Press, and get all the info you need on the industry.
He's a music producer and artist. You may know him from a song with Memethegoat or as the producer of Wax by 2 Live Bree. Smokey Hendrixx, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on, learn more about your story, everything.
What's up, Heroek? How you doing?
I'm good. We were just talking a bit about how I knew 2 Live Bree from early days of this show, and I discovered you from that song Wax. So let's just get right into it. How does that song come about, or how did you make that collaboration with 2 Live Bree?
It's crazy, man. I've been knowing 2 Live Bree for years, man. Being here from Nashville, Tennessee, and also him being from Nashville, Tennessee, we've known each other. I've probably known him about 9-10 plus years. Wow. 4 or 5 to get like really close. Especially these last 2 years, like doing the music. Wax came upon when Bree was looking for like a new sound. Like we because he already had a song on my album called Thanking God in Advance. The song was called Where You From, and it basically was just showing shouting out like all sides of Nashville, Tennessee, like Middle Tennessee or Nashville, Tennessee. And it did numbers. And I told Bree, hey, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going because it sounds good. And I'm finally being able to create some music with like a younger guy who basically who's had like motion in the city. Ever since he's been in high school, I've been in high school. So it just was supposed to happen, or as I would say, divine timing. But the Wax came when me and my boy Nokio sent him some West Coast beats, and basically he picked that one, and I was curious on how he was gonna like perform on the beat. So I was like, all right, Bree, let's do it. Man, he sent that back. I was like, oh, this is different. This is cool. So I was just like, man, we got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So Wax really was one of those things, like an experiment, but he knew what direction he would go.
Yeah, absolutely. And it worked. I listened to it and I was like, this is different than what I expect from 2 Live Bree, but immediately loved it and like had it on repeat the first time I heard it.
Yeah, it was pretty dope, man. I'm telling you, I was surprised with my mouth open, like, Bree, for real? I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, okay.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that because that's a big thing I see from him, like love for Nashville. He's always very like big on his hometown. Do you have kind of a similar like special connection to Nashville, or what's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, bro. Like literally, like my main goal as when I became a producer back in like 2019, 2020. I seen a need for like more producers, and I also seen a need for like more help or the guidance for artists, because a whole lot of times when it comes to like artists, a lot of places it's easy to go on YouTube. So my main goal as I went through and becoming who I am as Smokey Hendrixx, my main goal was to put my city on and to also put my name in every song or with any and everybody that I could who was wanting to make good music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was limited. Like I didn't limit myself because I also spread myself around the United States, but my main focus was to make sure that I gave back to my city because I knew for a fact that like my consistency and the talent that I had, I was going to be okay. I just wanted to bring that same my sound or help create somebody another artist's sound so that we could all go on at the same path because it's time for Nashville to like get that spotlight and the spotlight that we have it's steady getting brighter. So of course you probably heard of Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll started off being a rapper. He was a rapper before he became the rock star
Yeah.
or country music Jelly Roll. And that was one of our main artists as well as Starlito or All Star at the time. Those were guys that we looked up to and they could only do so much. So as me being a 30-year-old or at the time 20, 25, 24, I wanted to have that role. I wanted to put my name in history to be one of those guys to bring Nashville's music up to light because it's just more than country
Yeah.
music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think specifically the attention that you and Two Live Bree bring is so important because I'm sure a lot of people, and including myself for a while, like thinking of Nashville, I knew it was a big music city, things like that, but I thought it was country music and like that was the big thing. And now I'm hearing about all these rappers and everything and all these different kinds of music happening in Nashville. And I'm like, okay, it's really one of these big music cities, not just
Like,
country music. They got everything there.
like, have you ever heard of the Jubilee Singers?
I don't think so.
So when you get a chance, look up the Jubilee Singers. The Jubilee Singers,
I'll do it right after this.
bro, the music, the Jubilee Singers came from Fisk University, which is a HBCU here in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, beautiful, beautiful choir. All made up of African American singers, men and women. But the Jubilee Singers are world known, like worldwide. Like
Mhm.
it started back in like before we were even thought of, pretty much, bro. Like jazz, gospel, R&B, like those big names that you could even think of back in the day, like James Brown. They would come through Nashville to come pick up like bass guitar players or lead guitar players, pianoists, trumpet players, trombonists. Any or everybody would come through Nashville just to look for those artists. And we also had like great artists who play instruments. So Tennessee, well, Nashville itself is way more than country music. It's like you almost have to like dig and do a deep dive into the history of the music. And one thing that I'm happy that Nashville has is the African American Museum as well as the Country Music Hall of Fame and things like that. So we can learn on both sides of music. You know what I'm saying? So people just don't limit themselves to like, oh, Nashville is country music. It has a Country Music Hall of Fame. No, we have more than that. So that's my whole like takeaway from where music started from, like where music started from, like me being in high school to now. It's a crazy evolution. I love to be a part of it, and it's a great thing to see. So
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And I want to go back to you mentioned like wanting to collaborate with anyone ready to make good music. And I mean, I saw from like trying to read more about you before this that on Muso AI you had 181 credits in 2024, and you said that's not even all of them. How do you keep up such a strong work ethic or like have so much work in a year?
so man, it's crazy because I've always been the one to want to hustle and the one to want to continue to like stay, as I would say, stay on their necks or keep my foot on the gas. I basically was putting out my own albums. So ever since I first started producing, I got tired of waiting on artists to like drop their music or get their music together or how they want to do it. So I took it in beyond like for myself to like, oh, let me get an album cover made. Let me figure out what artist wants to work with me and let me put it all together. Trust me, I get why people take so long, but as long as you want to be consistent and you have the drive for it, it's easy. You pretty much just have it's steps to take, and a whole lot of times that's why I want to teach the artists that like it's these steps you have to take, but it's easy when it's done. So when I put out my so I have 7 albums, I believe, seven, 6 or 7 albums, I believe. The last album I put out in 2023. It was one side Smokey, the other side Hendrixx.
Yeah.
I did an all-female collaborative project I dropped in 2022, which Memethegoat song, Straight to the Money is on. Two Live Breezes on Thanking God in Advance, which I dropped in 2022 also as well. But that's how I get a lot of my credits, and as well as me working in other states. So I was also able to be blessed to work with some big name artists and some underground artists who are on the come up. So that was it is the easiest way I could put it, man. Like I just was consistent. I became better with my sound. More and more people tapped in, and I kept wanting to put more music out.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode.
That was going to be the next thing I get into, this double album, Smokey, him, and Hendrixx. What's the story between those two, or like what was the creative choice to make it a double album?
So basically, my whole goal of wanting to do a double album, I wanted to show the versatility between what I can do. So Smokey, the Smokey album is more on the, how can I put this? The Smokey side is more on the like the melodic, kind of soft, more rhythm than it is more trap or more hype. I wanted to show people that I can do some R&B and some different sounds. That's why I put Bree's song on. I mean, not Bree's song. Yeah, Where You From on that side. And that's the first song on it. Because a lot of people didn't expect me to go that direction, but in my head, I'm like, I gotta show people what I can do. I gotta show the different artists that I can work with and have different sounds. The Hendrixx side is more of the hype dark club bangers, the ones that you go in there and it's like I'm going into game time and this is what I need to listen to.
Yeah.
So on that one, I have artists like I have artists like RMC Mike, my boy Gans from here from Nashville. God, it's a lot of artists. But those are a couple that I have on that side, and that's what I wanted to showcase. Was people knew I could do the hype trap stuff, but a whole lot of people knew I could do the R&B or the different melodic that saxophone type, classical type thing. You know what I'm saying? But a whole lot of people didn't. So when I put that album out, people were like, "Oh my gosh." Like what other stuff do you have? Like I've gotten interviews just based off of certain songs because people like say that they play this like every day because it speaks to them and they became a fan because of that. So I all I can do is be grateful and happy that God was able to bless me with talent like that and a consistent like path of doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Building such a strong fan base, especially like at any level, but even one where it's like even if you're not at the top of the industry, having that dedicated fan base that's gonna listen to the music, that's gonna support you in all these ways is super important and everything. And I want to get into your collaboration, like you said, with Memethegoat because it I think is your biggest song on Spotify, or at least it's at the top of your like popular list right now. Did you know that was gonna be like your biggest song when you made it, or did you have a good feeling about it going into it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Every song that I create with artists, I feel like it's gonna be the biggest song that I ever created.
I think
Um,
that's the man. I think that's the mindset to have.
yeah, that's what you know, man. Being a music producer, man, you gotta just have that mindset, like, man, this is it. Like we worked our butts off to get where we at. With the Exquisite Taste album, which is the all-female collaborator album I put out in 2022, that was one of the songs that I like literally when she asked for the sample that I used, which was Lil Jon and East Side Boys, bro. She sent me that song back, and like her energy in that song, it was just like, dog, this is it. Like this is it. Like, and she when she was doing the mic drops and starting to put like it all together, like people loved her energy, and the energy like equated from what she put in the song. So when she put the visual out of her doing the dance moves to everything, it was just like, dang, because when she went on to we have a platform here in Nashville called Aisle Six, by my boy 615 Exclusive, where he has different artists come in and do hot singles. She did that single, man. Shaq sing the single. A lot of other people sing the single, and like big names sing the single and were like, hey, keep going, keep going, keep going. And one thing about Mimi is that she doesn't rush anything. She doesn't press anything. So she really goes with the flow and on like what God is like telling her to do. So, bro, she's pushed that song for a year, 2 years, and it just keeps going up and up and up. And I keep telling her to that day, I'm like, I told you this song was gonna be one of those ones, and it's a beautiful thing, bro. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now getting into a bit more, still a producer, but also just you as a person behind the music. Where does the name Smokey Hendrixx come from, or how did you come up with that like producer name?
So another quick story. Me and the homie DJ Chill, which is Jelly Rose DJ. We're business partners, so we have America's Most Wanted together. It's me, him, my boy Jet Lee, my boy Cash Counter, and Nokia Beats, and we all been knowing each other for years. My boy Chill used to live with his granddad in the basement, in his basement, and he basically made that whole basement like a mini studio apartment. Um, we were sitting in the garage one day. We had just got done shooting some hoops. Um, and my boy Corey T was sitting inside of the garage, and we were talking. And I kept saying, "Man, it's time for me to change my Instagram name." My Instagram name before was Migo 2 times. Um, and we just was sitting and sitting and sitting. And of course, as a music producer, I like to indulge in marry. You know what I'm saying? We all do. Well, me and my buddies. And we were sitting around. He was like, "Man, you look like Smokey the Bear." So Smokey the Bear, you know, he
Yeah.
too can stop forest fires. He was like, "All right," because people always call me Jerry Bear because my real name is Jerry.
Mhm.
So he was like, "Man, you look like Smokey the Bear. You just need a hat on." I said, "Smokey." I said, "Keep that." And I said, "Okay, Hendrix, Smokey Hendrix." I'm like, "Does that not sound good?" They were like, "Man, Smokey Hendrix is pretty catchy." And it's way opposite of my real name. So
Yeah.
he put it together, Smokey Hendrix. And then I'm like, man, I do like Jimi Hendrix. You know what I'm saying? I like his whole vibe and everything. So Smokey Hendrix was created in 2019, and then the producer was formed 2019 going into 2020. So I
Yeah.
had my name before, and then I decided to do music producing because of COVID and things like that. It stopped. I was going to take a test to be an NFL agent, and I just had to take like a chance with this hobby that I potentially created into a career almost.
Yeah.
So that whole name is what created the beast I am today.
Are you a music artist looking to get your music on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every platform? Then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get my music out, and I find it really, really helpful. You can set up all the credits for your songs, put in lyrics and even like times lyrics and things like that, and manage all your releases from one account or one dashboard. It is super helpful, and I don't think I would have gotten started with music as early as I did without DistroKid. So if you're interested in any of their plans, which I'll put on the screen here, and yes, that does say $2 a month for music on all platforms that you need things like that. That's $2 a month. I know some of you spend more on coffee each day than $2 a month to get music wherever you want. But anyways, back to the point. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off of any of these plans to make it even cheaper. Plus it has so many cool features to help with your music, like pre-save pages, getting it on Instagram and things like that so people can add your music to posts. It is just super, super helpful, and it's what I've used since starting music. Like I said, use the link in the description, check out DistroKid, and get 7% off of any plan you want. Now, back to the episode.
It's so interesting to hear about you like testing and wanting to test to become an NFL agent, and like is that kind of the route you thought you were going if it wasn't music, or was there any plans for what you would do without music?
Yeah, that was the plan of for sure at first, because I have my master's degree in sports administration. I went to TSU, Tennessee State University, HBCU here in Nashville. Graduated there twice, and my whole goal was to work in sports, like in something. That's still the goal. But I thought I was gonna like go take this test and become an agent, but plans change and things happen.
Yeah.
But whole time in my head, I'm like, okay, more and more as I go along with this career, I can create. We can create and make this into music/sports agency, like Rock Nation. Rock Nation has athletes and it's also a music label. So I'm like, I can create America's Most Wanted. Like we have some of America's Most Wanted producers, artists, and we also have America's Most Wanted athletes. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, this could work. Let's see where it goes. So I'm still on the processes of going to be able to take this test and finally get my agency credits and things like that. So
Yeah, that's great, and I wish you luck in that as well, because like you said, I see the vision of building up America's Most Wanted into this kind of like overarching company or thing. It's not just music or just sports, which I think is awesome. And with like other producers trying to start a career, trying to find collaborations to keep working, what tips or advice would you give to them to like keep going or build up their career?
So basically, what I tell artists or producers like on the come up, like find that person you can build with. That's the
Hmm.
key. I have a few artists that I work with and built with. Like one of them, her name is Sweet Poison. Sweet Poison is also another female rapper who is an amazing person. And we've been building since 2021, 2022. Um, what I can say is don't shoot for artists like Lil Baby or V's or a Megan Thee Stallion or
This
like
top of the industry.
go find these artists who have great potential and who want to work or who are willing to work with you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you build. You build and you get a chemistry. It can blow up into something great.
Yeah.
So that's like my main thing that I always want to tell people is just stick with it. Also, work with somebody who you want to come up with and who has potential and who has that same work ethic as you.
Yeah.
Because it's going to reflect. Like it's going to reflect. And a whole lot of times you can cut off those ones who you don't see wanting to be consistent or who want to work hard and who just want to do it just for fun. That's not what I want to be like to do. I want I want to put my CD on, and I want to see some reels. I want to see some RAA, like gold plaques,
Yeah.
diamond, platinum. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
And there's something special about like chemistry that can get you to that point. I mean, especially now with like TikTok and everything. I've seen like groups of artists who like are in the kind of like their own circle and keep collaborating with each other. And then I see them and they're just going up and up and up and up and starting to do like shows and tours and things like that. I'm like, wow, okay, that they're all just like constantly lifting each other up and like almost any time that one of them is collaborating, it's with someone else from that circle. It's awesome. And so I'm curious as to your general thoughts on like how much TikTok and social media has impacted the music industry, or like how much artists feel the need to like get involved on social media.
Man, it's crazy because I just got TikTok, but I haven't been active in TikTok. I probably got TikTok like 3 months ago. I just felt it like it was just another Instagram. It was kind of weird. But at the same time, I feel like social media itself, the evolution from like MySpace, and I don't know how old you are, but from like MySpace.
I'm beyond the MySpace days, but I know of it and things like that. I've over the summer I have a summer job where I'm working with kids, and that scares me because you name MySpace and they don't even know the name. They're like, what is that? So
Yeah.
that I'm not at that level, but I know of MySpace.
So like basically like MySpace and like from the evolutions of that, it's a big thing. Social media, you can get to places way faster than how it used to be back in the day, hand in hand situations like where you pass out records, which I feel like still should happen.
Yeah,
But TikTok and Instagram made it way better because you can monetize, you can start making money through that way of I guess promotion almost. Um, and I actually I love it. I love it. The only one thing I don't love about is how fast you can find a hit and then you turn around and you don't have a hit anymore
yeah,
because it's always the next artist, and that artist thinks that because you have this one hit, it's going to work, and you have to keep making stuff because it's always somebody under you better than you. So that's
yeah.
why I try to stay on my toes and just work as like as much as I
You
can.
got to keep working. Yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
have
it's
to, man.
it's the whole thing. I think it must have been a documentary or something. I was watching something about the NBA because I'm a big like basketball fan as well. And
Uh,
it was someone talking about like a lot of people think you're like grinding and working all your life and you make it to the NBA and you're like, yeah, this is it. I made it. And they're like, no, that's when it starts. That's when
right.
you got to keep working so you don't get bumped down to the G League or something like that and someone
Fact,
take your spot.
fact. Because man, you do not want to get over you do not want to get signed because you see it every day. Like when good example, like Gucci Man. Like Gucci Man with
Yeah.
the new 1017, like he had to go through so much and lost so much and did this and did that, but like now he's rebuilding the roster again. But that's just how it goes because you got to find that consistency. But yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing you gotta watch out for is like the artists who are big on TikTok or have a hit song and then can't really change that to like selling tickets or selling merch and things like that.
exactly
And it kind of stays online. But
exactly.
getting into the general process for you of like collaborating, making music, how do you come up with a beat? How are you finding these artists to work with, whether it's the regular collaborators or like finding new ones?
A lot of times I go and see, I go look at the consistency of the artists when I go try to find new artists. Instagram helps me find new artists. My people, my friends, they put me on a new artist like of that they know or that are their friends. Um, when it goes to like creating beats, I usually go through sounds. The sounds usually direct me on the BPM or what direction I want to take the beat. Um, a lot of times, like a few artists that I work with, I help create their new sound, or I create or help them find their sound, which I love. I love it because I can say that I'm like, man, I'm helping. Like I'm
Yeah.
helping through this process because I see music as a science. Science changes every day. Like it's no one specific thing. It just keeps changing. And with the music, I feel like that's how I go about it. Um, but making beats, like hearing like that artist on how they come on certain songs or what direction I can go to put my own spin into stuff. That's how I usually do it.
Yeah.
It's like a it's a process on, okay, let me send this to see what they like. All right, man, I like these two. This one's cool, but I like these two. All right, let me figure out that sound and create. Boom, there we go. Then like, oh
Yeah.
my god, you hit it on the top of the head. I'm like, yeah, man, I try, dog, I try.
So, so it seems like you're really in tune or good at like helping artists find their sound or even like discovering newer talents or smaller talents. Is there, and then with the whole like sports agent thing, is there any possibility of you getting into like music management, A&R, that kind of stuff to like help artists build up their careers?
It's crazy, man. I actually see myself as being like an A&R right now, like
Yeah.
putting my albums, finding the artists, helping them like mold their sound or create what they already are.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I can see myself being, but management, nah. With the
Too
athletes,
corporate.
yeah, with the athletes, I do it, but with like artists, I just stick with the music producing and people
Yeah.
I know who do artist management. But as for like finding talent, I feel like I'm really good at it because I listen to different forms of music, um, even older music. Like my dad was a big music guy. He
Mhm.
did the music at my football games in Little League. So I like waking up in the morning to like some slow jams or like some funk, like cleaning up the house type thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can see
Yeah,
myself
that's
doing
awesome. And
that.
you can have that kind of like A&R role while still being a producer. Like it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive and everything.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like I mean, you mentioned like Gucci Mane for one, tons of artists who like bring up other talents either as they're coming up or once they're big, everything like that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so how do you balance like inspiration when coming up with a new beat? Like are you taking inspiration at all? Or if you do, how do you make sure it's not like sounding too much like another artist or producer?
I take in inspiration through like a lot of my other producer homies. I tell them to send me some loops or some collaborative, some labs that we can work on together. I try to continue to work with different artists. That's what mainly like helps me mold my sound. Um, as well as working with other producers, just like trying to figure out different sounds or different chord progressions or things like that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Or like I would basically what I found myself doing this past month is listen to like more like a lot of Korean R&B or like
Mhm.
Japanese like jazz. It's crazy what kind of crates you can find when you go on YouTube. So like it's a whole lot of different inspiration, and like you can hear a lot of inspiration that comes into the music we listen today from that, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. But yeah, I try to give myself a break sometimes. Like for the first 3 years, I was making 800 to 1,000 beats like every year, like
Awesome. Wow.
instantly, like trying to like
Just just constantly working like all day, every day.
yeah, basically, bro. Like I would find myself in the studio from in the morning all the way to like the next morning, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. Like,
Wow.
and I would wake up every day, workout, work, and then boom, we there. I'm at the
Yeah.
studio all day. So yeah,
That's the mindset you gotta have, really.
you gotta
And
want it more than you want sleep, as I would say.
yeah. Okay, and so one kind of more like producer focused question that I want to get into here, and hopefully there are some producers listening that will make sense of this, and it won't just be gibberish to people listening. But what software do you like to use to produce, and actually let me start with that. What software do you like to use to produce?
Man, FL, Fruity Loops.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
I like 21, like the newer one, and I also like
Mm,
I usually work on 11 sometimes with my boy Greedy Money. But 21 FL.
FL's the go-to.
Yeah, like
Awesome. And
that's my favorite DAW for sure.
yeah. And then what is there a plugin that you found that's like your favorite or like the first thing you're pulling up when you get into the studio?
Man,
Yeah.
analog, or sometimes Omnisphere. But I
Mhm.
analog dog. And I also really like it's this plug-in. It's called 313 VST, which is like a Detroit inspired sound VST.
Awesome.
That's crazy, crazy pianos. But Omnisphere, that and analog 5 and 4. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, that as a producer, that's like something I want to keep learning and like hearing different people's takes on. I know not everyone's that in the weeds with it, but it's so interesting to
yeah,
me.
yeah, it's
And
it's a
so,
crazy thing because like Mustard said that he uses like anything like that's already on FL. Like he doesn't really have a favorite VST,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you can find some gems just with the stock. So
Yeah, I've met some producers, not even on here, just like in person, who I'm like, I look up to, and when they're like, yeah, I one of them is like an Ableton producer. I was like, yeah, I just use like the stock Ableton plugins.
yeah,
And it was like I've tried like going out and like buying other plugins, and they're just not as good as the ones that come with Ableton.
X, bro, it's crazy. It's like don't waste money if you don't have to, because some
Yeah,
of the same stuff that you can find in stock are from extensions or other VSTs. And sometimes it's just best to like buy extensions if they're already stocked on there. You can just go into the store you bought the DAW from and download
yeah,
extension. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, awesome. And so if there's someone listening who hasn't really heard of your music, or maybe they've listened to a song you produced and didn't realize it, what song of yours would you recommend as like an introduction to Smokey Hendrixx?
Oh man. If you want a sample, I say my boy Lil Devin, the first song on Thanking God in Advance, called Make Me Happy, really shows how good of a sampler I am, and I can chop up something like that. Another song would probably Me the Goats song, or my brother RMC Mike, which is a Flint, Michigan artist. Um, Banana Boat, or you can even listen to Crunch Time to show my real dark trap side. But it's a lot of songs, dog. Like it's a lot of songs.
Yeah, yeah,
So pretty much what I would tell them, if you want to like, it's not just one song. Just go on any platform, hit shuffle under Smokey Hendrixx, and just listen.
yeah, yeah. Give it a chance. Odds are you'll find something that you like.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. I have people all the time like, man, this popped up and I love it. I love this song. I'm like, man, appreciate it. So
So is there a song you've worked on that's like your favorite, just to listen to, or like as a fan?
man, God, I found myself listening to Thanking God in Advance like a lot. That's one of my favorite albums to work on.
Hmm.
Artist I worked with in Indiana from Anderson, Indiana, named Lil Devin. He ended up passing away. Um, but like that was probably one of my favorite artists to work with, and a lot of his songs that I listen to. And we have like 3-4 albums that we did. Um, where I found myself always listening to him or a few of my albums. Where it spoke to me because like I've met artists, but meeting an artist like that who I was able to create his sound, like I legit was able to create his sound,
Yeah,
it it speaks volumes, man. It like it hits different when I listen to him, because man, I wish he was here, but he's not.
yeah,
But man, we got so much unreleased heat, it's crazy. So
yeah.
that's
And
probably
then yeah, and then you were so involved in his career, it sounds like. So that's
yeah,
a whole nother layer to it. Like it was more than just being his producer or anything like that.
yeah.
Um, and so if you could collaborate on a song with any artist or rapper in the world, who would you want to work with?
God, oh my God.
You knew it was coming.
Oh, does it have to be one?
It does not have to be one. You can throw out a bunch of names.
Man, really, like who I really, 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 really want to work with, man. Oh, Jesus. Man, this is hard. This is hard. Man, I would probably want to say, I would probably want to say Babyface Ray, man. Babyface Ray, Jeezy, man, Gucci, man, because that's like one of my like those are my like top. That's 1 and 2 in my favorite artists. If it's a female, oh, you might not have heard of her yet, but you might. AR the Mermaid, she's from Memphis, Tennessee, man. She's dope. Megan Thee Stallion, dog. It's a lot of artists I want to work, but like those, like, because man, crazy thing, Starlito or All Star is Lil Baby's and No Cap's favorite artist, and
there you go.
He's local, so like,
yeah,
and I have music that we just dropped last year, and that was one of my artists that I really wanted to work with, because he's a neighborhood hero. He's from Nashville. He grew up with my brother, played football with my brother. My dad coached him. So when that came upon, it was like, man, one off my bucket list. Like, that was my
there you go. But you're getting closer with like the degrees of separation. It's coming closer to a reality.
Yep. Consistency, man. They see it.
Yeah. And so the last thing I kind of want to wrap up with here is looking into the future. I'm sure you have so much music coming out soon. What level do you want to reach with this, or what's your goal with music?
Man, my end goal with music is to finally like get like more records, like gold, platinum records here in Nashville. Like
the RIAs.
dealing with my local artists, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like end goal. Like, I want to have my own big boy studio, like 4 rooms, podcast room, like area where you can shoot music videos, things like I want to be able to have to where artists don't have to go to Atlanta to get this whole look or to get the motion. I want them to be able to like feel comfortable here in Nashville, and other people to come to Nashville to work and do things. Because when they say Nashville, we got to go work, I want them to say, hey, we got to go check in with Smokey Hendrixx, or we got to check in with DJ Chill, or any of these other great producers we have, like here in Nashville. It's not just me, man. We have so much talent, dog. So much talent. And that's the whole end goal, for real, man. I want to have plaques, big boy studio, and a headquarters where other people from other states, even countries, can come and work, and it's not country music.
No, that's the dream, and it would be great to have that whole, second light on Nashville, other than the country music, like this whole kind of like other genre, other scene that's happening there, and is so strong with producers and artists like you, 2 Live and everyone else that you've worked with and named.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I had a great time, learned so much about you and your music, and I can't wait to see all the credits that I'm sure you'll have this coming year in 2025.
Man, appreciate it, man. Thank you, Heroek, for having me. What I will do is also, man, I will keep, like, we can stay connected, and
absolutely
I'm gonna shoot artists just to you, man. Like, I want you
let's do it.
Like, discover like what Nashville has to offer.
I want to discover it, and I want to help help put Nashville on the map in the rap scene, not just the country scene.
Yep. And then come visit us too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it on my to-do list.
For sure, man. For sure.